Between 1954 and 1996, Clint Eastwood fathered 8 children, 6 of whom are daughters. Far from living in their father's shadow, they've all grown up and forged their own paths. Clint Eastwood didn't even know about his eldest child, Laurie Murray, until she was an adult. According to the Daily Mail, Clint had an affair with Murray's mother while he was engaged to his first wife, Maggie Johnson. Their tryst apparently ended before Clint knew about the pregnancy and that Murray was put up for adoption. Murray later searched for her biological parents as an adult, though, and discovered that Eastwood is her father. That had to be a life-changing revelation for both Clint and Murray, especially with all the time that had passed. A family friend explained, "It obviously came as a great shock to Laurie, but I believe that Clint was extremely receptive to her and the situation. Since then, Murray has seemingly integrated herself into the Eastwood family, spending holidays with them, and even accompanying Clint to the 2004 Oscars. It appears that Eastwood's other children were also happy to learn that they had another sibling, and joined her at the premiere of their dad's 2018 film, The Mule." Murray's youngest sister, Morgan Eastwood, commemorated the moment on Instagram, writing, "So rare for all 8 Eastwood siblings to be in one room." Eastwood's second child, Kimber Lynn, apparently also came as a surprise, since she was also the result of one of his affairs. Clint had met Kimber's mother, Roxanne Tunis, on the set of his 1959 series Rawhide, when he was married to Maggie Johnson. The two went on to have an affair for the next 14 years, with Tunis having Kimber in 1964. Yet Tunis apparently didn't tell Clint about her pregnancy, or even that she had a baby, until Kimber was about a year old. Kimber Lynn's feelings toward her father seemed to vary over the years. Per The Independent, she once said that he always seemed to be busy when she tried to see him. However, she's also shared that he was involved with her life, which was made apparent when she appeared in some of his movies, like 1997's Absolute Power. Kimber decided to follow in the footsteps of her mother, Roxanne Tunis, and father by pursuing a career in Hollywood. She's not only acted in a few films since 1989, but like her dad, eventually became a producer too. Kimber also found success in the entertainment industry as a makeup artist. She's worked on shows like Wheel of Fortune and on her father's 2018 movie The Mule. She explained to Fox New Mexico,
"I love just the whole process of making a film. It's just, I don't want to be just one thing."
Alison Eastwood seems to have quite a bit in common with their dad, in that she too became an actor and director. Alison's interest in show business apparently stemmed from watching her father on set. Alison went on to act in over 30 projects that spanned over 3 decades. She most notably had a starring role alongside Jude Law and Kevin Spacey in the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which was directed by her dad. Acting in her father's film reportedly gave her career a substantial boost at the time, and she later came out of retirement to appear in his 2018 film The Mule. She told People, "I was like, well, maybe this is an opportunity to not only play his daughter, but to just spend some great time with him." Alison eventually decided to focus on pursuing other endeavors, like directing films. While she said her father has inspired the way she directs, she doesn't feel like his success made it any easier for her to transition into that career. As she explained to Hello, "Just because you've grown up around someone who directs doesn't mean they let you do it too." Jocelyn Reeves was another woman with whom Clint Eastwood had an affair. At the time, he was with longtime girlfriend Sandra Locke. Not much is known about Reeves, other than that she was a flight attendant who gave birth to Scott Eastwood in 1986, and his sister Kathryn 2 years later. Similar to her mother, Kathryn has kept a low profile over the years, despite keeping up with the family tradition of working as an actor. She's even appeared in 10 projects since 2014. And yes, her filmography does include a movie that her father directed, 2014's Jersey Boys. Kathryn has also worked as a screenwriter, and she seemingly enjoys the horror genre in particular, having written for the zombie-themed series Virus of the Dead. While Kathryn does keep a fairly low profile, we do know that she once got her big brother in trouble with her dad after he ditched her at a party when she was 14 years old. Scott recalled the moment Clint found out to GQ, saying, "He popped me and said, 'You don't ever leave your sister at a party, ever.' And it was very old school of him. He wasn't afraid." Chances are, if you watched reality TV in the early 2010s, then you've heard the name Francesca Eastwood. Clint's fifth daughter is one of the more well-known of the Eastwood children, having risen to fame on the 2012 reality show Mrs. Eastwood and Company. She's also made her fair share of headlines over the years, particularly when she was 19 and in a high-profile relationship with celebrity photographer Tyler Shields. Their rocky romance was not only documented on the show, but often made the tabloids. Their biggest controversy was arguably a photo shoot they did together in 2012 that involved burning a super expensive Birkin bag.
Oh my god. Is this real?
Yep.
The next year, Francesca married Jonah Hill's late brother, music manager Jordan Feldstein, in Las Vegas. A source told Us Weekly at the time, "They haven't even been dating that long, but when in Vegas..." Francesca seemed to have second thoughts about that spontaneous decision. She had the marriage annulled just 8 days later. Francesca eventually realized that she didn't want to just be known for her personal drama or for being a tabloid it girl. As she said in the New York Post, "I want to be able to do the projects that I love, and the projects I love are not for people who are on TMZ every day." She's since gone on to act in feature films like Old, as well as TV series such as Twin Peaks: The Return and Fargo. Clint isn't Francesca's only famous parent. The former reality TV personality's mother is Titanic star Frances Fisher, an actor whose successful career began back in the 1970s. It wasn't until the late 80s that Fisher got together with Clint after meeting him at a film party. The two split soon after Francesca was born, but they made a point to stay on good terms for their daughter. Fisher told SFGate in 2004, "I believe when you have loved someone, if you don't destroy it with pettiness, then the love is always there." It would appear that having two movie star parents made it easier for Francesca to pursue her acting dreams. Even though she was basically born with her foot in the door, she's not immune to imposter syndrome. As she told Hello Giggles, "When both your parents have been very successful, it brings a little bit of fear and self-doubt." Fortunately, Francesca seemed to be able to get past that, and even got a chance to act alongside her mother in the 2016 film Outlaws and Angels.
I'm so lucky I had my mom there to...
It was beautiful to watch. I got to see it, and I had never seen a moment between a mother and a daughter like that.
Fisher was just as elated to be able to join her daughter on set, especially since she had planned to visit Francesca there to watch her work anyway. Last but not least is Clint's youngest daughter, Morgan, whom he had in 1996 with his second wife, Dina Ruiz. When he met Ruiz in the early 90s, he was still with Frances Fisher. Clint and Ruiz tied the knot just a few years later in 1996. The notoriously private film star told The Independent at the time, "To me, she's just perfect. This is it. As far as I'm concerned, this is the woman I like monogamy with." What's more, Clint believed his parenting style had changed when Morgan arrived. He told The Telegraph that he was a much better father. He went on to say that spending time with Morgan always took priority, and that he was more present with her because he wasn't as worried about his career anymore. He added, "I go to all the softball games and look ridiculous out there because almost everybody's got a much younger father than me, but it's fun. I think you appreciate a lot more when you get to my age." Despite the talk of monogamy, however, the marriage didn't last.
And the pair is reportedly embroiled in a complicated love quartet.
Ruiz and Clint divorced in 2014, but she made it clear on Bethany that her ex was still super involved with their daughter. Morgan is now an adult and, unsurprisingly, has done some acting, of course appearing in one of her dad's movies. She's also served as a producer and production assistant on other films. When Clint's two youngest daughters, Francesca and Morgan, and his second wife Dina, got into the reality TV game with Mrs. Eastwood and company, the patriarch of the family wasn't a part of the program. Ruiz said at an NBC Universal event, per Today, "If people are tuning in because they're Clint Eastwood fans, they'll be disappointed. It's about the rest of the family." Clint would occasionally show up in the background of scenes, but more often than not, he steered clear of the Mrs. Eastwood and company cameras. The series wasn't picked up for a second season. At the time, Ruiz acknowledged that her then-husband didn't want to be filmed, but it later came out that he was actually infuriated that she agreed to do the show with the kids.
I applaud him for resisting the fact that two teenage girls are going to be in a reality show.
And while Francesca was on board with the series initially, she eventually had a change of heart. As she told the New York Post, she came to realize that being a reality star wasn't the path she wanted to take, saying, "It's kind of odd to me being famous when you haven't done anything. You just sat in front of a camera and had a somewhat real lunch conversation. I didn't feel satisfied. So maybe don't hold your breath for that Mrs. Eastwood and company reboot.